Yo, welcome back to the Silence of Shame podcast. It's your girl, Life, and I'm super excited to have y'all back again because you've come back from the previous ones to come view us again. This is Suicide Prevention Month, and we are super excited about the conversation that we're having today around a very, very important topic that many of us need to normalize the conversation around and end the stigma. I'm super excited to have our co-host back again. Shanti is in the building.
What's up, Life?
Hey, Auntie Shanti.
Hey.
So as you know, Shanti is the creator and founder of Silence the Shame. We have been around for 7 years and super excited to have this conversation with a very, very important figure in the community and who's doing some really great work around mental health. Rennie, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on with you all. It's an honor to be here. And
Mr. Rennie Curran.
Yes, Auntie Shanti,
Yeah,
the legend.
It is. I love it.
Yes.
So, Rennie, give us a little background of where you're from and how you got here and, you know, why we have you on the show today.
So I am one of the rare few native Atlantans.
Yes.
By way of Liberia, West Africa. Both my parents came here in the early 80s. My mom actually came on scholarship to Emory to get her master's in nursing. Special woman. Worked at Grady Hospital for 40 plus years. So I tell everybody I'm as Atlanta as it get.
Yes, you are.
I was born in
Shout out to Grady Baby Apparel.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta get your mama some gear.
I'm not a Grady baby,
That's okay.
but
we still get y'all some gear.
Right? But she worked in the diabetes field, and I was born in Crawford Long.
Me too.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Okay, we got so many things in common. That's crazy.
Okay,
So
right.
what they don't know is
Yeah.
I was born in Southwest Community Hospital in '79, and I lived here till I was 8. I don't think
Wait,
Shanti knew that. Yeah.
Okay, different podcast, but I'm coming back to that.
So I'm a native, but I didn't live here and I didn't stay here. But I'm
Yeah.
a native. I'm from Mississippi is my heart, but I still love Atlanta to the fullest. But
Yeah.
So cool. So you're here, been here, know the world, know the community, have been in the community.
Yeah.
So sort of understand the needs of our community.
For
How
sure.
did you get into the mental health space? Because I know you're a former NFL player.
Yeah.
And then you shifted your work into the mental health space. So how did you shift and what made you shift into this space?
Yeah, so when I look at my life, it always involves some aspect of mental health. I just didn't know it. Mm-hmm. So I had the opportunity and the blessing of being able to play at the University of Georgia, coming out of Brookwood High School in Gwinnett. Shout out to G County, and had the opportunity to go to the NFL, as you mentioned, play with the Tennessee Titans, the Bucks, went up to Canada. But my whole journey, as I look at the ups and the downs and everything involved, it really circled around my mental health. And just how I navigated challenges, how I overcame adversity, everything from my faith, everything from how I saw myself. A lot of why I got into to sports and why many of us as black men, we get into sports, many times it's a mask. We're trying to use it as an escape. It's the one space, and I tell people this all the time, sports, especially football, is the one space where you can be as violent as you want to be. You can be as loud as you want to be in a controlled way. You can hit somebody as hard as you want to hit them, and it's celebrated as a black man. If you think about that, it's a very,
That's
very...
deep.
That is big.
Deep, isn't it?
You don't think about that.
You don't think about it
No,
like that.
that's the only area in society where we're openly accepted for being violent.
That is wild.
And celebrated. And it's encouraged.
And paid for.
Right. But the thing about it, it's this culture that is so heightened.
Yeah.
It's a very, very hyper masculine culture. It seeps into your identity because of the different aspects of teamwork and relationship, and even the glorification piece.
Yeah.
Because you have this platform. The problem is it's not real. It's not real, and so you build up your identity around this thing that's fleeting, and then all of a sudden, it's just, I compare it to the movie The Matrix. You guys remember the scene in The Matrix where they wake up Neo from The Matrix and he comes to reality.
That he's back
and
in
he's
this,
like,
yeah.
dang, this is the real world. That's really what it's like being an athlete. Like you're in this world, in this reality that seems so real. Then you get hurt eventually. Then they tell you can't play. You age out or whatever the case may be. and then you find yourself in the real world, and you're like,
You're
wow.
unzipped into this reality.
And you have to really
Yeah.
learn who you are. You have to develop real life muscles
And
that
that
you've
can
never
be
had to do.
really difficult.
Yes, yes.
Not only difficult, just who am I? Like,
Exactly.
You've been known as this persona and this football player, this position, because really when you're in
Yeah.
playing for a team, you're a position. You're not really a person.
Yeah.
You have to find your village that see you as a person, right? So
Definitely.
black boys look for you as a role model. But when you unzip and become a real model,
Yeah.
what is it that you're showing our black boys and in our community of how to take care of themselves outside of being tough and
Right.
rough on the field?
Yeah.
Being tough and rough for yourself in life. So how do you shift that for them?
And it was a shift that I had to go through
That's
personally.
right.
And I, unfortunately, but fortunately, got cut after my second year in the NFL. So I had that rude awakening very quickly. I was 22 years old because I left college early. I'm back home for 8 months, just waiting on a phone call that may never come, training 3 hours a day, just going through all the hurdles and the obstacles and the questions of who am I, what am I going to do if I can never do this again. A lot of what happens when you go through a midlife crisis, I was going through this at 22, 23 years old. And that's when I really started.
When you're still maturing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
When
it's
you're-
crazy.
Guys don't
Right.
typically mature to like 24, 25.
You're
Yeah.
still developing.
Yeah.
Still
Like you
developing.
haven't fully developed yet.
Yeah.
Like, and you're having a major shift in life.
Yeah, and I'm a father at this time. My daughter's about 2 years
Wow.
old. Yeah, I became a father at 20. So you add up
You
all
had to
those
show
things.
up in different areas,
Yeah.
in different ways.
And so I started reading a lot of books. I started going to workshops. I started, really just diving into who I am as a person. Who is Rennie Curran outside of this jersey? And I feel like it's such a powerful analogy in life because many of us, our jobs become our identity. Our relationships become our identity. And so we have to ask ourselves at a certain point, who am I outside of this? When I
Right.
remove everything, who am I? And so that was a journey that I went on, and I actually started writing a book called Free Agent, and I used that as an analogy for
That's
life to
good.
say we all become free agents at some point in life.
Love it.
That's big.
Yeah,
Smart.
and that
Brilliant.
was that was the genesis of what led me into what I do now in the leadership development, mental health space.
Okay.
As a speaker, as a coach, and everything that I do. I have a foundation as well called the Game Changers Foundation. So we help athletes become leaders on and off the
I've
field.
heard of that.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it may be another game. I don't know.
Might
There's a
not be the same
couple.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a different one. Okay.
But yeah, that's really what started everything. And I actually ended up getting picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not too long after that. But it was like I saw
Something different.
everything
Yeah.
through a whole new lens.
Yeah.
I started to see my experience through the lens of leadership, through the lens of mindset, through the lens of organizational development, through the lens of, just personal development. So it really changed my trajectory and everything. And I'm so passionate now because one of the things I see for so many people is they don't start thinking about things like mental health
Till it's too
or
late.
personal development or their personal brand or who they are until they go through a major
In
transition.
transition, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
a major
Yeah.
crisis.
And that leads me, thank you for saying that. I was going to ask you, when did you first become aware, right, of mental health stigma, both in sports and in the community you grew up in?
Yeah, so like you said, mental health was not something that you talked about, especially in the sports world. I'll say there's been specific moments I can think about where and a lot of athletes will have this same story, whether it's they're 5 years old, they're 10 years old, at whatever age, but they'll have an experience where things aren't going well. And usually it involves their mental health.
Yeah.
They are hurt, but they're not injured. They got beat on a play, and so they feel bad. Something's going on at home, and so they're out of it. But when you get into that environment, you got to perform. The last thing you're gonna do is say, "Hey, coach, I'm not feeling good today." He's gonna say, "You better suck that and get back out there." That's the response that you get, and so you at an early age learn how to shut off your emotions.
But do you think you think that narrative is shifting a bit?
It's shifting,
now
but
in
it's
present
still
day?
a major part of the culture.
Yeah.
Because in the game of football, especially, it's like war
Yeah.
without the bullets. Like, especially when you get to the league. So that being said, I learned, and many of us learn how to condition ourselves to not
to
feel,
not heal that.
to not think.
Or compartmentalize those.
Compartmentalize in order to thrive. Not just survive, but to thrive. That's an environment where you have to shut off. You literally have to shut off your emotions. I was labeled undersized too, so everything had to be over the top.
Yeah.
I had to, lift more than the next person.
Overperform. Yeah.
Overperformance. And so the first time I realized that mental health was a serious thing that I needed was actually long after my playing days were over. Like when I transitioned in 2017, I started to notice patterns in my relationships, patterns in terms of my relationship with my daughter and communication and being defensive, things like that. And so over time, I realized, man, okay, I'm doing this work. Trying to learn myself. I'm not a bad person. Why do these things keep happening over and over and over? Why can't I be in a relationship for more than 6-7 months without things going bad? Without me, having a wandering eye, just all these different things that were coming up. And so eventually I was like, okay, I got to do something. I got to go seek help. And for the first time, I sat down with a therapist.
That's good.
And the first thing I'll never forget, I sat down in his office and he asked me, he said, Rennie, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your experiences. Tell me about challenges. And I talked. I'm a good talker because I'm a public speaker. That's what I do for a living.
You've been in training.
Yeah. And just like any great therapist or any great coach, he identified my blind spot that I didn't realize I had. He was
Come on,
Rennie.
Yeah.
He said, Rennie, do you realize that throughout the course of your whole messaging that you just gave me, that you did not once talk about your emotions? You're running off a script. You realize that, right? And many of us are running off a script because that's what we've learned to do in order to survive in our different spaces over time. And once I realized that, I was like, all right, I got to do the work. And that was the beginning of me understanding the true importance of mental health and not seeing it as something that you have to do when there's a crisis, but just making it part of your life.
Yeah, but it's what we all have. It's how you think, how you act, how you feel. I'm so proud of you, Rennie.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. It's been a journey.
It's been a journey, and it's a game changer.
It is.
Game changer. Go look them up.
It really is.
But you've been in football for a while, since you was a child. Since how old?
Since 10 years old.
10 years old.
Yeah.
So you've been suppressing all of those triggers that you noticed once you were 28, you said? Around
28,
that age?
29, yes.
Around that age. How did that influence you as a young kid, not knowing your triggers? How did that influence how you reacted or how you acted? And how, if you would have known your triggers back then, how it would have been different because you would have been proactive instead of reactive?
Man, that's such a powerful question. So, I can openly say this now because I'm healed and because I've done the work, but I was molested as a child.
Oh.
And so, as you all know, and there's a lot of research around that when you're molested, there's a lot of things that come with that.
Right.
Correct.
Hypersexuality, just many things that you should not be thinking about and doing at a young age, and then it spills over into your relationships. So, as I said before, football was a mask. And so I was able to cover up a lot of things because of my performance. But as time went on, I started to see the damage. My daughter, love her to death, but my relationship with her mom was toxic. And a lot of it stemmed from those things that happened from my childhood that I didn't realize, were triggers. There were different triggers. There were
Did that
different things
come out
that
in
happened.
therapy?
Yes,
Yeah.
it came out in therapy. There was so much work I had to do. I had to do psychotherapy. I had to go back and talk to that young version of Rennie and heal and sometimes cry. So many things happened during that time, but it's like if I would have known that, you can't just have an experience and think that thing just goes away. Yeah, there's lingering effects. There's residual habits and things that emerge that you don't even realize are there. Like I talked about the blind spots. If I had known, I would have done the work so much earlier and I would not have been ashamed of it, when it came to doing that work, because that's a big part of it as well, is that narrative that's formed that keeps those things going. Once that experience happens, you develop a story that you tell yourself that makes that whatever thing that you do, it makes it perpetual. And it makes you feel like it's part of you. I'm never going to be able to overcome this. I'm never going to change. And that's what affects so many people, is that perception of themselves. And so once I got over that, I had to do that work around self-forgiveness, compassion, understanding that I did these things over here, but that's not who I am. That was something that stemmed from my past experiences, my past hurt. And so there was so much just digging I had to do to understand why this thing happened, how it impacted my life, and how I'm going to move forward regardless of this, and not let this become my identity, and not let others who will look at me based off of what I did in the past affect my identity as well, because you can do the work all day and you can become a better person, and there will still be people who will not be able to see you past your past.
Oh yeah,
Ooh, yes.
That's all they see.
Yeah,
they'll
that's
never
it.
see, and you're fake now,
Right.
because you're not
yeah.
you're not true to
I
who you
remember
used
you
to
And
be.
you
from back.
weren't supposed to be the same
Right.
person because
You're
you've
supposed to
been
evolve.
through
Right.
healing.
Like
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. But there will be people who will look at you and say, "Oh, I know Rennie back in college. Oh, he used to do this, that, and the third." And I'm like, okay, I feel sorry for you, because that Rennie is gone. I don't even. It's to the point where I look back at conversations I used to have. Like, I'll go through old Facebook messages or whatever, and I'm like, I don't even recognize that language.
Yeah.
I'm so far removed from that person, and I'm thankful, because now my daughter is 15, about to turn 16 next month.
She needs a different dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, I talk about it all the time. That was a straw that like I say, broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Was
Thank God
as
for
she
children.
got older, and I realized I couldn't just talk to her about values. I had to live it. I couldn't
Yeah,
just talk
model
to
behavior.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when I told myself, like, I got to do the work, because I tell men this all the time that have daughters. I'm like, when your daughter's young, she's going to look at you as her hero. But the older she gets, the more she's going to see you for who you really are. And you want her to know that who you are is who you say you are. Yeah. You don't want to have to make
about
things
that?
up. You don't want to have to put on the front, because they
see.
they see
They
everything.
see.
And that was one of my biggest motivators when I thought about, how do I want a man to treat my daughter? How do I want a man to treat my mom, my sisters? If I'm acting the way that another man is treating my mom, my sister, my daughter, will I be able to hold them accountable in any way? So having conversations like that, and then my faith really shifted how I saw myself in the work I did as well, because I understood that if I'm a child of God, I have to love myself.
Come on now.
I have to move differently.
Come on.
Speak.
I can't accept any type of situation. I can't accept my past.
Yeah.
I can't accept these lies that are there, these deep-rooted lies that are planted.
Boy, you sound like a public speaker.
I'm
or
just
something.
trying to
I
figure it out.
mean,
Like,
I mean, I told you I was going to go in on this, and I'm so passionate about this.
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good because we're living lies, and so many of us are living lies.
Yes.
And how detrimental that is to ourselves. But then when you have to come out and tell who you truly are, you're really having to reintroduce yourself to like family and
Yes.
friends.
Yes,
and like
yes.
you said, they don't see past that.
Right.
It's a disservice to us instead of just telling the truth, normalizing the conversation. Hey, this went on in my life. This went on. It took you to 28, 29 years.
Yeah.
So now you're just starting to live at 28, 29.
Yeah.
And thank God that, it came here.
Yeah.
We're in Suicide Prevention Month, and so many young men take their lives. Suicide is the second leading cause for Black males ages 10 to 14. Like, that's 5th grade to 9th grade, 5th grade to 10th grade.
And the rates have gone up, right?
They-
by 30%.
By 30%. Like, it used to be ATVs or accidents, boys being boys,
Wow.
that's how they got killed. And now I can't take life anymore. And you haven't even started living life. Like you said, at 28, 29, you just recognize how to live again. And kudos to your village, kudos to your therapist, kudos to you for recognizing, hey, I need a shift in my mindset so that I can be able to survive.
Yeah. And one thing I would love to add to, you said that we're living lies. And it's so true. We're in such a time of deception, lies, and just promoting the wrong things, using the wrong metrics to measure success. And that's one of the biggest issues I see is, especially for us men, like, we place
And
such a
especially Black
premium.
men.
Yes,
Yeah.
we place such a premium on career success,
financial status.
on financial status.
Yeah.
Oh, if you making 7 figures, 8 figures, oh, you good. But we put a low premium on relational health, communication, spirituality, all those things, our mental health, our ability to regulate our emotions.
Yeah.
And so what happens, just like, I'll use another sports analogy, if you trained all day on a specific skill set, but you haven't trained at all over here, what happens when you have a challenge over here? Eventually, you're going to fail. You're going to become exposed no matter how great you are over here. And that's what's happened with so many of our men. I'm not going to say any names,
Right.
Yeah.
but we can think about all those who had so much success. They were so talented, they could do whatever talent, you sing, dance, whatever, play sports. But then you look at their personal life and it's in shambles because they got so many reps over here. They spent so much time focusing on this, and this was the highlight of their life and their success and their identity. And they forgot that this over here is just as important.
And it's eating them up.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
who go to that level and are not focused on that, what's really, really happening,
Yeah.
they don't stay at that level for long. Or they don't have the tools to be able to manage their finances or the tools to
Right.
manage their emotions
Absolutely.
or regulate their emotions. Like, you got to have skills and tools for
Yep.
the rest of your life to be able to do this. Not just as a kid. You're not teaching a baby,
Right.
don't cry when you're not really hurt or really hungry. You're teaching a man, don't
Yep.
cry when you're really not
That's
hurt
right.
or hurt or hungry. So,
And I'll say the scary part of it all is that doing the work over here isn't validated,
at all.
isn't rewarded.
No.
And that's
No.
what's,
That's the hard part.
yeah, that's the hard part.
And especially when you're in the public eye.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Because
yeah.
all of the years I spent working in entertainment, and I won't say names either, but
Yeah.
bad behavior was celebrated
Right.
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 It's swept under the rug.
and swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And and to your point of just focusing on your craft, which is your number one priority, but you also need to balance the scales, right? And be able to take care of this part of your life. So having said that, and having worked in sports and folks in entertainment, how do you think the culture of professional sports and even entertainment, for that reason, how does it deal with stigma amongst athletes? And how does that continue to just kind of perpetuate,
Yeah.
bad behavior or just people, not really being able to be healed in those spaces?
I will say, there's so many stigmas when it comes to sports, especially being a black man in sports, specifically football. Many times when you look at the media and how we're promoted, what sells, positivity does not sell.
No,
So you're not, and this is what shocked me even when I got into the NFL. I was around so many God-fearing men, so many family men who just went to work and came back home. But that's not the story that sells. What sells is the athlete who has 12 kids, 5 baby mamas, the athlete who goes broke. That's what sells, and that's what keeps these stigmas going. On every team, you have more than 53 guys on every team, but unfortunately, you're going to hear about 2 to 3 guys on every team. And that's what, unfortunately, paints the picture and the reality of a lot of athletes, especially a lot of us black men. And so when I look at the stigmas, so much of it is not the reality. It's not true. And if you were to sit down with many men, even the stigma that, athletes only date white women when we get money, like that's not true.
Yeah.
If you were to line up guys on every team, the 53 guys that I'm mentioning, the guys who are
And we're not saying anything is wrong with that.
Yeah,
we're
nothing
just saying
wrong.
it
Nothing
is a
wrong at all.
stigma.
But
though.
it is a stigma.
perception.
Correct.
It's a
Yeah.
perception, yeah.
Right.
Guys go, bro, whatever stigma you have, look up the guys on that roster whose name you're never gonna hear. The long snapper, the second string, cornerback. Most of the time they're living normal lives. They're not making a ridiculous amount of money. They're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And every year they have to earn it. So those are some of the stigmas that I see, man, that keep things going. And just like in terms of how to change this culture, it has to start from the beginning. And one of the things that kills me is I see so many parents, by the time their kid shows any type of glimpse of athletic ability, we got to get them in this sport. We got
we're
to.
going hard.
And there's nothing wrong. Athletics has so many benefits. It teaches life skills. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to teamwork, how to work with others. A lot of great things. But that should not be your child's only identity.
Right.
One of the greatest things my parents did for me is they got me piano lessons. Before I even got into sports, I was playing the piano. I was going to the Boys and Girls Club. I was going to the library. Eventually, I played the drums in church. I was one of the few athletes who played in the orchestra to my junior year. I played the viola, and
I played the viola too. Shout out to viola players.
And it was so powerful because when that sports identity went away, I had another identity.
Yeah, and
That's
those were
good.
healthy coping skills.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it helped so much.
Teaching you to be a resilient teen and kid.
Yeah, teaching you how to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
Teaching you how to
Well-rounded.
see yourself outside of just that one thing, to
Right.
know that you can do anything.
That's right.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, and so I really encourage parents that are listening to this, do not just have your kid going from sport to sport to sport to sport. Yes, sports are great. Once again, I'm not saying don't listen to this and think that, oh, Rennie, you crazy. I'll put my kids in sports and they're gonna train whenever.
Coming after you.
Yeah, I got future Hall of Fame, whatever. I'm not saying your kids shouldn't be great and shouldn't strive for greatness on the field. What I'm saying is, I know so many athletes who that's all they have, that's all they know themselves to be, and when it's time for that thing to end. It is a struggle. And you can look at other industries. Yeah. Those child actors.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Musicians.
They struggle.
Yeah. I mean, any scenario where you have somebody who puts their whole identity into one thing or a person, it's going to lead to damaging effects because all those things are fleeting.
Well, it's the same for us. Like when I worked as a music executive, that's all I did. On and off planes. I mean, I would literally work 18, 20-hour days.
Yes.
I had no balance.
You had no time for yourself.
And no time for myself. And now I tell people, because we all want to try to achieve some level of work-life balance. Right. I call it work-life rhythm. Because life be lifing. But you got to create a rhythm that works for you so that you have something else going on outside of what you do day in and day out, rather, to your point.
You made a good point. They build them so hard to be that player, but when the player is over, what happens? And did you build that person to be a person?
Yeah.
You mentioned your therapist, and you mentioned you have coping mechanism, and you still work out, I assume, and still get that out. What are some other key resources that you keep around you to sort of help you stay leveled out and regulated for your mental health and wellness?
Oh man, I'm so glad that you asked that because I believe that you have to be prepared. You have to be proactive versus reactive. You have to be you can't wait until you get into the challenging moment to start then thinking about what I'm gonna do to build myself, build my mental resilience, or to think about how I'm gonna move forward. So for me, I constantly am thinking about different tools, and not just thinking about it, but I have a routine that I do every single day, every single week. So I do therapy every single week. I'm about to get married next year.
Oh, congrats! You got a second therapist.
Thank you. Yeah. And the reason why I mention that is because 2 years into our relationship, we started doing counseling. I didn't wait.
That's dope.
For marriage counseling
Look at
to
that.
get
For a
counseling.
challenge.
Yeah, I didn't wait until
awesome.
we do counseling every week. Either I'm doing it by myself or we're doing it together, and that's just a regular part of our relationship. In the morning, I have my morning routine. I start with meditation. This is after I eat breakfast. I do my morning meditation. I do devotion. I do prayer, and I journal. I do motivational journaling. And then at the end of every week on Sunday, in the evening, I review my entire week, and I do what's called tracking my wins. So anything positive that happened, whether it's a great meeting, whether it's I closed a deal, I got another speaking engagement, I had a good interaction. Me and my daughter had a good week, because y'all know our teenagers. Right? I write all those things down. And what I realized is that the more that you focus on those things that are going right, you're intentional about
short-term
counting.
goals.
That's it.
Your mind is programmed to see
I'm a winner.
what you focus on. Yeah, see more of it and expand it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, those are some of the things that I do.
That's good. And now I'm going to utilize that because you focus so much on what you didn't get done that week or what you failed that week.
Yep,
You focus so hard, but in focusing on that, you miss, I made that goal, or I made that, I did that. I really made that call. Things. I connected. And it can be, it's the smallest things that matter that make you move to the next steps and everything.
It builds momentum.
Good.
And I can't forget to mention too, I don't work out, I train.
Okay.
I train, I build my mind for adversity. So I train almost dang near close to when I played. So like today, I worked out not too long ago. My last set on squat was over 400 pounds. Why do I do that?
I didn't do that this morning, okay? Just Rennie.
Because I'm training my mind.
That's good.
For what I know is going to come. We're going to face, the Bible said we're going to face challenges. It's not if, it's when.
Brother.
So why are you not preparing for that? Why are you not training for that on a daily basis in the way that you manage your time and your effort and your energy and your thoughts? So that's how I like to approach my life.
Oh, this is so good.
This is over.
I'm just so grateful again. This season, we are proud to be partners with the NFL Players Association and the good work that they do at the PAF, and just being able to bring these conversations with with men like yourself who were, former athletes, but are really pouring back into the community. Our first episode, we interviewed Brandon Chubb, another amazing guy. And he said the same thing about you, great guy.
We used to train together. That's funny.
So we're just grateful for these conversations because I do think that you will change lives.
Yes.
And you are changing lives.
Yes. 100%.
Just think of the young brothers who looked up to you for your NFL careers, or for they knew you and followed. My son knows all of the star players, and I'm like, who is? He was like, he was on the team for this long. It's you guys who influenced them, but now you're influencing them in so many different. They're going to see you in a different light.
Yes.
They're going to see if Rennie could break down and cry, I could. If he can come out and tell his story and his triggers, I could do the same just as well as I can play just as well because I've been studying how he runs on the field. Now I can study how he runs his mind. This is amazing.
Oh yeah, I don't take it for granted either. Like anytime I have the opportunity to speak, I'm always thinking about that. Exactly what you just mentioned. That young kid who may be lost, that person who's going through the transition, that person who may have a child that's going through it. All those different scenarios that you have no clue about. And I take it very, very, very serious, the opportunity that I have to be vulnerable and to share about my challenges because I know it does really open up the door for somebody else to know that it's okay. Like you don't have to feel like you're alone. You don't have to isolate yourself. You don't have to feel like hopeless. That you're and that's the most powerful thing I try to tell them is hey, you're going to be okay. I've been there. I know how you feel. I know how dark it is right now, but I'm telling you, it's temporary. Just keep pressing forward. Keep doing the work. Keep getting the reps in whatever way that looks, and you're going to come out on the other side. And another thing, especially with athletes, I try to tell them is, hey, remind yourself of who you were when you had that jersey on.
Yeah. Because
so many of us forget the good things, the good qualities that made us high performers, that made us leaders on the field. When we take that jersey off, it's like going from Superman to Clark Kent. We forget. And I'm like, bro, ask yourself, what made you, like I had to ask myself, what made me a great linebacker? It was the fact that I trained, I was relentless, I was a team player, I was optimistic, right? I had a high level of faith. When I was going against 6'6", 300-pound line, I had to have faith. Yeah. When I got knocked down, I got my ass back up.
That's right.
Every single time.
Resilience.
And so I had to take those qualities and characteristics and I had to bring this over into Rennie Curran, the person. Leave the bad, but take the good. And I call it, like you said, I forget the phrase you use, work-life rhythm.
Yeah.
I call it, instead of transition, I call it integration. And that's what I had to do. I had to integrate.
That is good.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot from this young brother today. You're dropping so many gems.
I'm going to go home and journal. How am I integrating myself? This is good.
Integration so that there's alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you're not one person over here and then a completely different person over here. You are striving to become the best version of yourself in every area of your life. That's what I believe.
All right, Rennie, I mean, you're based in Atlanta. Sounds a shame. We're going to be calling you again. You are so well-spoken.
I really appreciate it.
And I love how you just, really narrate the story of your own mental wellness journey. And I really love the mental reps, physical reps, especially I think that's a great analogy for our youth, right?
Yeah.
That are playing, like, you got to have those mental reps every day as well as the physical reps that you do in practice.
And there is a lot of research around that. Carol Dweck, she's a researcher who talks a lot about growth mindset.
Okay.
And it's that idea that if you continue doing the reps, if you continue doing those things over and over, that you eventually are going to have that outcome that you want.
That's right.
Many of us think that, if I'm not good at this, that I was just born this way. This is how I am.
No.
I can't stand it. Like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And that holds so many of us back.
And that's a defeatist attitude,
It is. It is. It's a scarcity mindset. That mindset where it's like, they doing it, so I can't do it. Or, acting like somebody is taking away from you. And I'm like, no, if I just continue doing the rest, if I continue showing up, I continue staying faithful with where I am now, eventually, something good going to happen.
Preach.
It's got to. It's only,
it has to.
It's the statistics.
Yes.
If I keep doing these
it's a numbers game.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time, if I keep doing these reps, eventually I'm gonna go to the next set.
That's
if I keep doing, eventually that glute, like I'm still working on y'all, it's gonna come in there. It's gonna come somewhere. It's gonna come in there. I'm gonna show y'all. Next summer. I'm gonna show y'all.
Let's go.
But like You have been giving all the nuggets to our young people, like take your mask off, shift your mindset, and then your life will take off. But you got to do step 1 and 2 in order for step 3 to happen. You have to have those things in place.
That's right.
Like you said, don't wait for a crisis.
Right.
Like when you're training, you're not waiting for the championship. You got to play a game to get to the championship. Even though you're training for that,
practice.
There is some
practicing like a champion.
You have to keep practicing like a champion, especially for yourself.
Like
you practice for a champion for every logo, every team that you've played for, every place that you work for. You're like repping them all the time. Rep yourself just as hard. Rep yourself just as hard, and be very intentional about growing yourself just as you are growing somebody's organization. Like grow inside.
100%.
Like that's good. So any
Yes.
last words y'all read? I mean, you have given us all
all
words and all the
Nah, y'all.
We can be here all night.
Right.
Y'all been giving me the assist with the questions, so I just been
listeners.
slam
This has
dunking
been
it.
fantastic.
So, yes, I really appreciate y'all. It's an honor for anybody out there who's listening, who is struggling with their mental health, or who is, trying to manage a relationship with somebody who is going through a mental health crisis. I would just say, continue to fight the good fight, continue to stay positive, continue planting those good seeds, continue trusting that good things will and must happen.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I would say. And it's been some dark times. I know we all have stories where it's been dark, it seemed hopeless and whatnot, but everything that you do matters. Every single seed that you plant matters. And if you can take it from me, I'm just here to tell you that you're going to be okay.
Amen. And do you have anything, Rennie, going on that we can support or anything you want to mention?
So much.
Okay.
So
get your pen and papers out.
Yeah, so much. Like I mentioned, I am a full-time keynote speaker, so I speak on leadership, teamwork,
hint, hint,
and performance.
Book Rennie Curran.
Yes, so companies, associations, schools, of course, and then I do coaching as well, leadership and business coaching. For those who are trying to improve, their overall quality of life, improve their personal brand, or trying to improve with public speaking. That's something that I offer as well. And then my foundation is another thing that I'm very, very passionate about, helping, like I said.
What's the name of it again?
It's called the Game Changers Foundation.
That's right.
And that's Game Changers Foundation, GA.org. And we exist to help athletes become leaders in sports, business, and life. So we're going to be doing a lot of great things, really exposing them to alternative careers, life skills, and understanding how they can take that skill set on the field and apply it to business and to everyday life.
I hope Silence the Shame can collaborate with Game Changers Foundation.
Yeah,
that'd
because
be amazing.
that is,
When we do a lot, we have a youth advisory council.
Nice.
We have a leadership program with 6-month cohort for Silence the Shame University.
Love it.
We do teen wellness clinics, COPE clinics. So I think we we
got to stay connected.
It would be nice to put a different spin on a COPE clinic, like a football clinic.
Clinic.
COPE
Oh, that would be cool. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Watch out, team. She's coming for you.
That's it.
So again, it's thegamechangerga.org.
So just Game Changers Foundation.
Okay, just Game Changer.
Yep, Game Changers Foundation with the S.
Okay.
GA.org.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yes.
We'll make sure to get that tagged
And how can we
in.
follow you?
Just my name, Rennie Curran, at Rennie Curran on all the social medias, and then RennieCurran.com is my official website. So, thank you, Auntie.
Continue. Hey, listen, nephew, you got me for life.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Likewise.
Blessings to you and your fiance and your family and all that you're doing to really raise up these young men and women in the community. We salute you for real.
I'm just
really grateful.
Shout
out to Hannibal.
Yeah.
My brother Hannibal, who is also a former NFL player and used to work in the league. I'm just grateful that he connected you to our organization.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing I even forgot to mention, because I met Hannibal when I was in my freshman year at University of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And it's so important when you talk about mental health that you have the right team of people around you.
Right.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Great guy. And I've had so many throughout the years that have just poured into me. He was one of those that when it was dark, when I was a free agent, I picked up, I was like, bro, what should I do right now?
Too, right?
He played.
Yeah,
he played the same position.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would call on him, and he would just give me those words of encouragement. So it's so important having those teammates, life teammates. Yeah.
I love it. That's good stuff.
This is good. Hey, I told y'all it was going to be good. Just like Rennie and Shanti have mentioned, build your team. Build your coaching team around you so that you have the support around you. Like I said, this is Suicide Prevention Month, and we want to make sure that you have the tools and skills, but also somebody real to listen to say, hey, I've been there. I've seen where you are, and I know that it gets better. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary circumstance. Like it gets better and it gets greater. You just got to keep walking through it. Somebody told me the other day, don't wait on the storm to end. Just dance in the rain.
Yeah,
that's it. Just dance in the rain. Like it feels good when you don't just sit in it.
That's right.
But again, remember, like, share, subscribe to us. On all platforms, we are Silence the Shame. But we would love for you to share our information so that it gets to someone who needs it. Remember, you can donate by texting STS CARES to 707070, and it is tax deductible, just in case you were wondering. But remember to take time, save a life, and silence the shame. See y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.